Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I just realized that I do not have my phone on Do Not Disturb. And how do I know that? Because it just made a big ding in my ear. So, welcome back. If you were here earlier for the sneak peek of the projects that we're going to make on May 3rd at our National Scrapbook Day event that Hope Hardy and I are hosting in Hendersonville, Tennessee. So I, I don't even know how to explain. What I want to do the rest of the day is walk through the everyday you and me scrapbook workshop. Let me see how they call this scrapbooking workshop kit and show you the projects that coordinate with it. We are using this kit in our event on May 3rd. You may be a scrapbooker, you may be a card maker, you may be both of those things, but the kits, just because I think for me, I tend to get tunnel vision. You tell me this is a card making kit, I'm going to make cards. You tell me this is a scrapbooking kit, I'm going to make a scrapbook. So I wanted to show you, in case you're like me, that these kits can be used across the spectrum of paper crafting and that you have so many options within the kits and extending beyond with the other products that coordinate with them. So that's where we are. The first video, I gave you a sneak peek of what we're going to make. And now in this video, we're going to take the kit apart, look at the coordinating products that are available, and we're going to start working through the kit. We're going to do the cutting guides for this kit, and then in the next videos throughout the day, we're going to actually assemble our pages. So I broke them apart because I didn't want to be one really long video. But anyway, so that's the intention for what we're going to do right now. And I'm going to see if I can switch cameras and show you what I have on my table. So I have the Everyday You and Me Scrapbooking Workshop Kit. That's what I'm going to take apart first and show you. But I want to also mention the kits, the products that coordinate. Sorry, guys, it's a struggle. There is a bundle called the Everyday You and Me, and you can buy the stamps, you can buy the dies, or you can buy the bundle together, right? So these are not required to put together the scrapbook pages as they are in the kit. They're just nice, nice coordination. So you can see that the flower images are cut out, right? Now I started to do that. And then you have the leaf images that cut out, this little cluster of flowers, and then these two leaves as well, right? And look at these big greetings. I love these stamp sets that are marketed as scrapbooking, if you will, memory keeping, because they have the bigger, bolder greetings typically. And I like those. so, so you saw some of these used in the cards that I shared with you earlier. We did use some of these greetings on them, and you could also use them in your scrapbooking as well. As the pages are outlined in the kit, you don't have to have these, and you don't have to have them for the pages that we're going to make at the event on May the 3rd. But coordination is the name of the game, right? So Everyday You and Me Scrapbooking Workshop Kit, Everyday You and Me bundle. Now, there is designer series paper in your kit, and there is designer series paper that you can purchase separately. And in this designer series paper that you purchase separately, you have two options. You can purchase it separately for $12.50. You can purchase a combination of the designer series paper with the stickers that are in the kit for, I believe it's $17, might be $17.50. This is the Coordinating Designer Series paper. There is also a pack of two-tone cardstock that coordinates with, so these are the colors of the two-tone cardstock that are in the kit. In the kit, you have some Designer Series paper as well as some two-tone cardstock. This is kind of an extension, or love the bundle and love the colors and the paper but don't want the kit, then you have options. It's all about choices. So we're going to come back to these in a bit, but I want to take you through the kit, and at some point I hope to remember to show you just what you'll have left over from your kit. Actually, you'll have more left over than I had from when I did mine. But let's pull all this out and we will take a look before we begin our cutting. So love that it comes in this bag that seals so that you can keep everything relatively organized. The first thing you notice is this 8.5 by 11 color instruction sheet, right? And we're going to look at this in great detail as we go along. But on the first page, you have the finished photos of the finished pages with photos on them so that you have an idea of how that would look. You also have down here at the bottom, tells you what materials you're going to need to complete these pages as they are. And it's going to tell you even what photos you would need to gather to finish these pages with photos that you would need for project 1. You'll need 3x4s in a portrait orientation, 3x4s in a landscape orientation. For project 2, you'll need 4 3x3s and 1 4x6 in a portrait orientation. And for project 3, 2 3x3s, 2 4x6s in a portrait orientation. And let's see, so that is all down here. So, oh, lost my train of thought for that. It'll come back later. It also has a featured technique, adding color with blending brushes. So that's kind of cool too, that each of these workshop kits has a technique that you learn along with it. Now, these are the cutting guides, and we're gonna actually do the cutting, so I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on this just yet. I'm just gonna flip through it. But with each of the papers that you need to cut to make your kit, your pages, they are lined out. And the projects, that's what I was going. The projects are numbered. So this is project 1, it's pages 1 and 2. Project 2, pages 3 and 4. And project 3 are pages 5 and 6. Once you get through your cutting instructions, you begin project 1. And you have a picture of the finished product to look at. And then at the bottom, this kind of tells you where those items that you cut earlier, how they fit with this. Because we're going to make 3 piles when we do our cutting, and we will know that this is 1, 2, 3, and when we pull them back out, and we can even identify them further with the designation to know exactly where they go. I typically don't mark mine with pencil, but I'll show you what they're doing. And who knows, I might do it just because maybe it's easier than I have been doing. So then you have the right page, same thing, takes you through all 6 of the pages. And then if you have leftover supplies, you just continue creating. There are all kinds of ideas that are posted. You have this full sheet of chipboard elements, and they are floral and hearts, they're leaves, they're detail laser cuts, there's some that are more solid, and a lot of them. This is a better view of them, and it's in its own little bag, so you can keep them from getting mixed in with everything else. Okay, then we get to the pattern paper. Some of these are going to be exactly like what you have in the extra pack of Designer Series paper, and some of them are unique, exclusive to the kit. This is one that occurs in both, has the plaid on one side and the wild wheat pattern on the other. We call this the hash pattern, if you will, on one side and the watercolor on the other. That is also in both packs. This stripe pattern, I was going to say it's my favorite, but then I'm going to show you the back side, and this might be my favorite. So beautiful floral and beautiful stripe. All of the colors here, the pretty peacock, lost lagoon, gray granite, wild wheat, just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Then this is going to be exclusive to the workshop kit, right? So it is a single-sided paper in a wild wheat pattern. This is a gray granite pattern that is exclusive to the kit. It is single-sided as well. And then we have the die cuts. So this is one of the die cuts. You use both the negative and the positive in making your pages with following the kit instructions. These are all die cuts. They're all pre-cut. You just punch them out. And on the back, it tells you this is project 2. This is project 1. So it shows you where you're going to use each of them. And if then it didn't have a label, it would be an extra piece for you to use somewhere else. Now, in our May 3rd event, we're going to use some of those die cuts in our project. So you wouldn't be able to make both the full set of projects we have for you and the pages as they are in the kit, because you won't have a full set of die cuts left over. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please ask questions and I'll do my best to answer. You also get some two-tone cardstock in the kit. You get 5 pages of Pretty Peacock. And this is what I mean by the two-tone. You can see the light and the dark. One side is light, one side is dark. The dark color is the true Stampin' Up color. This is Lost Lagoon. You get 1 sheet of it in your kit. And then these are the stickers. I mentioned the stickers earlier. We're also going to use some of these stickers in our creating, especially when we get to the mini album. You will have seen several of these in use. Just gorgeous. And like I said, these are already, they've already got the adhesive on the back. So when you peel them off, they're ready to stick down. If you want to pop them up with dimensionals, you may want to remove some of that sticky before you add the dimensionals. And you do that either with an embossing buddy, with the lint that's on your blue jeans, in any of those options, right? So those are the stickers. And then in the kit, you also have photo placeholders. So remember on that front page, it told you how many of each size and orientation you would need. If you're not ready to put your photos down on your pages when you create your pages, you can use these photo placeholders to mark the spot, if you will, where you're going to put your photos. They can also become photo mats, mats for your journaling. If you wanted them to be your journal boxes, you can turn them over and then there's nothing on the back. But the writing just tells you what size that they are. Okay, so that is our kit contents. And before I forget about it, I'm going to tell you that this pack of Designer Series paper is a little different than many of our other packs. You are probably more familiar with our packs of 12 sheets that are 2 each of 6 designs. And these that coordinate with the workshop kits are a little different. And I guess there's no rule that says the other Designer Series paper packs couldn't be the same. But what you'll get here, you will get 12 pages, but you're going to get more. So let me see if I can get this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 3 designs. So you can see there's the plaid on one side, the wild wheat on the other, the stripes, 1, 2, 3, 4, floral on one side, stripe on the other, and then the hash, 1, 2, 3, 4, with the watercolor on the other side. So I love that. Um, that's just me. No, it's not just me, but it's me. So now we've got all of this out of our kit. It's time to start doing our cutting. And let's see. Now, I looked this up because I wanted to be sure I was saying it right. In standard measurements, when they say something is 5 by 7, that typically means it is 5 across and 7 tall. And what you'll find in some of the kits that are already existing is that that rule may not have been followed. So be mindful of that. The picture is pretty much drawn to scale. So, and I know going forward, they've worked very hard to get these instructions so that they are always move your width and then your height. But you'll want to be mindful of that as you do your cutting. So I'm going to grab a pencil out of my fabulous bag. My friend Lana made this bag for me, and I absolutely love it. It holds so much stuff, and oh my gosh, haven't opened it in a couple of weeks. I've been looking for this resistance band, so yay. But I also know that I left my favorite new pencil in here. Guys, this is a Papermate handwriting pencil. I'm in love with it. And it's also pink, matches my bag. I don't know. I'm a super happy person. So when I pull out this first sheet, so the first sheet I'm going to cut is my plaid sheet that has the wild wheat on the other side. And let me see if I can pull this up without getting it too blurry. So I'm going to cut 2 sheets of this. And then you can see I've got 1A that's going to be 8 by 12. And I can tell from the orientation that this is 8 and this is 12 because it's a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And then I'm going to be left with a 4 by 8 piece and then these pieces down below. Now, these are also all happen to be for project 1, pages 1 or 2. And then the second sheet is going to be 11.5 by 11.5. It tells me that, my cut orientation. If my paper had a directional pattern, which my stripe will, then this would show me how I need to do it. These scissors mark my first cut. So I'm going to cut all the way down at 8 for this first piece. All right. So get my trimmer out. On our Stampin' Up trimmer, and I'm going to extend the arm out. Although, true confession, let's see, I frequently flip this around so that I do a little math, and I would say, oh, I need to cut that at 4. Well, I've decided that in the scrapbooking world, that's a little confusing for me, so I'm actually going to pull the arm out and do it the way I'm told to. Can't quite get that. All right, guys, sorry, I do not quite have enough room in my window without adjusting that crazy. Okay, we're just going to go with it, all right? So here is my 8. I'm going to slide this over to 8, and I'm going to make that first cut all the way down. So I need it 8 by 12. So now I have an 8 by 12 piece, and this is for project 1. So I need a project 1 pile, and I clearly did not set this up right because I do not have a good place for my piles. Yeah, that was really poorly planned. Okay, well, we may have to work on that. Okay, so now I have this piece that's left over. I need one piece to be 4 by 8. So I've got my 4. I'm going to turn it and get my 8. Now, I could, if I could flip over. These are all on project 1. So I can come over to project 1, flip over to the instructions for project 1, and see that where I'm using, and I can see that it's the plaid piece that is showing. Wild wheat is showing here. Okay, so I can label these. So this plaid piece must be 1A. So you can see how it tells me going from my cutting design. So here's 1A. So that is this piece. And I can take a little pencil and mark on the back and write really lightly 1A. Then when I get ready to put that together, I'll know exactly which one I'm looking for. Now this one is wild wheat, and I'm going to guess that that is 1B, which from my cutting, I know that is the one I just cut, the 4x8, and it is the wild wheat side that's going to be showing. So I'll flip this over on this side and I will write 1B. Now I have not typically been doing that as I've been cutting them. I've made quite a few of these pages, but let's give it a try here since I want to show you exactly everything that the cutting guides provide for us. Okay, now I need 6 pieces that are 2x1. So I've got this sheet here that is now 4x4, and I am just going to cut it at 2, right? So I'll get 2 and 2. And then I'm going to stack these on top of each other. And one of these had a little extra. Sometimes that 12x12 has just a titch, okay, right? That's a very technical term. I'm going to slide, that's might have been a 1/16 of an inch. And then I will stack these up carefully, the same size, and I'm going to put them in my guide and cut them at 1. And the cool thing is with the guide down here of my ruler, I can see that this is 2, and then I'm at the 1, which this side over here is up to 1 and 1/2 inches. So I like to use that side because I have all of this extra area to hold my paper securely. So I need 6 that are 2x1. So there's 2. Oh, actually I need 8. I can't do math already. And now I have 8. And I'm not going to label them. I figure they're pretty self-explanatory. They all go with project 1. So I'm going to put them in the project 1 pile that I need to clear up before we get going. Okay, so the next page tells me that I need 11.5 by 11.5. Still working with this same orientation. This is my front. And so I'm going to do a little math here and say that if it's 11.5, I'm cutting off 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go to the guide to the right of the cutting blade. Cut 1/2 inch off here, and I'll cut 1/2 inch off here. Now, and I saw that I turned that, made the cut, turned it 90 degrees, made the second cut. Don't feel like I need to label that one because it's going to stand out. Now, I would say that we were going to have 4 piles as we go along. We're going to have scrap, and then we're going to have projects 1, 2, and 3. All right, so that's my scrap pile over there. And I know that it's a scrap because it's right here, and it doesn't tell me, it doesn't have a label. It's not used anywhere. The grayed, shaded areas have labels, and they tell me where they're going to be used. Okay, now the next sheets I'm going to cut are the ones that are the stripes. So I'm going to move these 2 remaining hash pages actually to the back because I should not need them again. Could be wrong. Now, this tells me that I need to lay my stripe horizontally on my trimmer and that my first cut is going to be at 3.5. Right, so 3.5, and then I'm going to have a 7.5 piece for these 2 cuts. This one is going to be 3B, and then I'm going to have 2G. All right, so I got this horizontally, and I'm cutting at 3.5. My first cut is at 3.5, and I'm going to cut, this is for project 3, cutting all the way to the 12. Set this one aside, pull this out, and then I'm going to actually flip over to see where 3B is used so I know where to mark my, so this is project 3, and it is going to be this side. So this is 3B, and I'll just mark it here. I can always erase that if I happen to put it on the wrong side, and I'll put project 3 over there. Back to my cutting guides. So it's kind of cool. You want to do all your cutting up ahead, and then you're kind of working in an assembly line, if you will. So this should be 7. Okay, now I need to cut 7.5. So here's my 7.5, working over here. I don't know that you all can see that. And I'm going to cut all the way down, and then I'm going to turn it because it needs to be 11.5. So here is 11.5, which means I'm cutting 1/2 inch off of the end there. And this piece is going to be scrap. So I'll put that over there. Do not underestimate your scraps. Let's see. Okay, so and this piece is scrap as well. So this piece that is 7.5 by 11.5 is for project 2. So let's see where it is used. That is 2G. So we go to pages 2, project 2, sorry. That's going to trip me up. Evidently so is flipping pages. 2G. So it's going to be, it is, okay, 2. I do not see that on the left page. 2G, nope, must be on the right page. 2G is right here. So it's going to be floral side up. So on the stripe side, I'm going to call that 2G. That is dangerously close to my scrap pile. I'm going to have to reorganize that when we finish all of our cutting. Now, back to our cutting guides. I apologize, guys, a lot of flipping back and forth here. Okay, so now we've done this one at the top. We're ready to do this one. Again, it is our stripe pattern, and it has a lot of pieces that we're going to cut. So the first one, we're going to cut at 5 1/4, and I'm just going to do the math and make sure that 5 1/4 plus 3 1/4, that's 8 1/2, 9, 10, 11 3/4. That's going to leave me a tiny bit, so that math works. So we're going to cut this at 5 1/4. I'm going to cut it all the way down, and we'll mark this 3F once we figure out which side we need to mark that on. All right, so 3F, 3F. Thought that might be you, but you are not. So 3F. Okay, so 3F is this part that's going here. So it is striped side up. So I'm going to mark it on the floral and say you are 3F. I'll put you over there in project 3. Now, when we do this at my house, I'll have this set up so that rather than working in piles around yourself, we'll have folders that you can drop things into. So there'll be like a standing file, what do you call those things? Anyway, your file folders stand up, and you're just going to drop them in each folder as we go along. All right, so now we've cut this piece. Oops, I cut it too big. I forgot. Wait, hold on. It's this piece that we know, because here's our 5 1/4. I did that totally wrong. See, sometimes you shouldn't talk while you work. Okay, so here, this top is going to be 3F, and I need to cut it at 8 1/2. Then mark it as 3F and put it over. Okay, now it's kind of important that with this piece, I have it oriented the right way so that I know what my next cut is. Because down at the bottom, see here, it still needs to be going the stripe horizontally. This piece needs to be 4 1/4 this way and 3 1/4 this way. So 4 1/4 wide. Okay, so then I've got a piece of scrap, and 3¼ tall. And here's a little piece of scrap. And that is for 1T. So we're taking that back to project number 1. And we're looking for 1T. And it is right here. And it is this piece here. So it is stripe up. So on the floral side, we will label that as 1T. Back to pile 1. All right, now we have this piece that is remaining, and it is this way. So the next cut we need is at 3¼ So, and I can make this all the way down. So I'll make this 3¼ Set that piece aside. I'll turn it, make it, I'll cut 1. That one's 3¼ That is 2H. This one is 3¼ This is going to be 2I. I'm going to go ahead and figure out where they go and label them. So project 2. Now all we're going to do in this video is continue doing the cutting. So if you've got the gist of what you need, then take a break and come back when you've got yours all cut and pick up at the assembly. So I said this was 2H and 2I, and they are both striped side up. So we'll label on the floral side 2H and 2I. And we'll put those in project 2 pile. Now we have this piece down here. Okay. See, it's very important that each time you cut, you turn and you look, check your orientation, because these two need to be 1¼ by 5¼ So I'm going to go ahead and cut the 5¼ That leaves me with this little tiny scrap. And guys, save your scraps. You just won't believe the things that you can do with your scraps on either more scrapbook pages or on your cards. I did a lot of cards at the retreat last month that weren't intentionally scrap, but they turned out to be a lot of cards that you could make with your leftover scraps from one thing or another. Okay, 2C and 2D. So 2D. 2D is here, so they're both striped side up, so we'll label them on the floral side as 2C and 2D. And we'll put them in project 2 pile. Okay, and then we have this remaining piece, and it needs to be 3¼ by 4¼ We need 2 of those. So we'll cut this at 3¼ and that will leave us with a skinny piece there as a scrap. And then this will be 4¼ and 4¼ I do believe that the other videos will go a little faster than this one, but that is just an estimation. Okay, so those 2 pieces go with project 1. They are 1I and 1J. So I move over here to my color instructions, and I'm looking for 1J. Okay, floral side and floral side. So on the stripe side, we will label those as 1I and 1J. Okay, fantastic. So now we have cut those. We need to move on to our hash pattern, which Did we already? No, we haven't cut that. It just happened to be at the back. Okay, so for our, what we're calling our hash pattern on one side, watercolor on the other, we're going to cut 3/4 and then 3/4. So we need 2 pieces that are 3 by 12. And this has a direction as well. So the hash is going to go up and down. It's vertical, right? So we'll cut 2 pieces that are 3 1/4, 3/4, not 3 1/4, but they are 3/4 and 3/4. Okay, so those are both 3/4 by 12. They're for project 3. We'll move those in just a second. And then we need this piece to be 10 by 10. So I am going to cut it here at 10, leaving that roughly 1/2 inch as extra. Turn it and cut it this way at 10. Since I'm keeping all my scraps organized, I can show you those once we get all of these cut. All right, so the first 2 skinny pieces are for project 3. They are 3A and 3C. Let's go over. So 3, 3A and 3C. Okay, 3C and 3A. So they are both on the hatch side here. So on the watercolor side, we will label them 3A and 3C. And 3 is over here. All right, that's all. Oh, nope, this piece is 2B. So we'll go see where that is used on 2. Actually, you can kind of maybe tell from here. It looks like it's going to be on the right page. Oh, I don't know. It's going to be on the left page. I think it's going to go like this on the left page. Let's see if I'm right. So 2B. I am correct. Watercolor side up on the left side. So this is 2B. And project 2 is right here. All right. Then our second hatch page, we're going to, orientation is vertical, and we're going to have a 5 by 7 and a 7 by 7. So we're going to cut, we'll cut this at 5. And you know what? I'm just going to look to see, because that watercolor has this yellow and blue, I wonder if it matters which way we want it. So let's look at 2E and 2J and see where they're used. Okay, so 2E is this one. That's going to be hash side up, so that won't matter. That's 2E. And then 2J is the 7 by 7. So if it's watercolor side up, we may want to be different. 2J is hash side up as well, right? 2J, yep, they're both hash side up, so it's not going to matter. We can cut it whichever way we want. So we'll cut it at 5, going vertical. And we could actually even do this, even though it's told us to cut the other way, we'll have a longer piece left over if we cut it at 7 first. Going rogue. And now we'll cut it at 5. So that's 5. So 5 by 7. And then this one should be 7 inches square. So there's 7 and 7. All right. And those are 2E and 2G. So 2E, and I said they were hash side up. So the 5 by 7 is 2E. And the 7 by 7 is 2J. And then that leaves us with this 12-inch strip. If we wanted that for a future page, then we would have a full 12 to play with. So set that there. Continue our cutting. We have 2 more pages to cut. We are going to cut, actually no, we have 4 pages to cut, I'm sorry. So the exclusive paper in gray granite, we're going to cut that. And or it doesn't really have an orientation, but we want it to be 11.5 by 11.5. So I'm going to cut 1/2 inch off. And then I'm going to turn it 90 degrees, and I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off this way. And that is for project 2. And I'm just going to assume I don't need to label it because it's going to be big enough. And I know that that side is going to be the upside because it's a single-sided paper. Then this side needs to be 4 by 11.5. So I'm going to line this up at 4. Leaves this as scrap. And we'll take this as 11.5, which means I'm going to come over this way and take off 1/2 inch. Okay, those are both for project 2. Now we have some, so we have this left over that we have not used, and I don't think we're going to use it. I think this is going to turn out to be scrap. I'm going to put it over there in our scrap pile, and we'll, actually, you know what, okay, getting ahead of myself. We're going to cut a piece of Pretty Peacock and a piece of Lost Lagoon. So Pretty Peacock is up first, and it even tells us, you know, that we've got the light and the dark, and it won't matter whether you cut, you know, it doesn't have a direction, so you can put the dark side up or the light side up, whichever is easier for you. These pieces are all going to be 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, and we're going to have 6 of them, which tells you that these are probably going to be photo mats for 3 by 4 paper, right? 3 by 4 photos. So 4 1/4, and then 3 1/4. And with the two-tone cardstock, you want to have dry hands. With all cardstock, I would say don't put lotion on your hands right before you start handling your cardstock. That can leave a little smear that may or may not come off. And I feel like that's especially true for this two-tone variety. So these are all for project 1. I'm not going to label them. I'm just going to set them over there. And then I need, again, 4 by 4. Okay, I'm sorry, got sidetracked. Squirrel moment. So 4 1/4, and then turn it 3 1/4, 3 1/4, and 3 1/4. And I have a little piece of scrap. All right, so we'll set that over there. And then we have this as scrap as well. Then on our Lost Lagoon piece, we are going to cut at 6. I'll cut it at 6 1/4, which on your trimmer, that is, you can see the marking. Okay, remember, so you've got a 16, and then the line right there is the 8, and then here is the 1/4. Not the easiest to find, but we're going to cut at 6 1/4, then we'll have 4 1/4, 4 1/4, 3 1/4. Whoops, fell right out of the track. Set that aside. So then we have, oh my gosh, got stuck there. So we have 4 1/4, and we'll have 4 1/4. And then this last one is going to be 3 1/4, and it's going to leave us with about 1/4 of an inch on the end as scrap. And these are all for project number 3. And we have this much left over as scrap. All right, that's all of our cutting. So I'm going to set my trimmer aside, and we're going to punch out our die cuts. Remember, they're labeled as to which project they go to. So we'll take those out. And this is for project 3. So I'm just going to put that in with project 3. And then I'm going to punch these out. And as I punch them out, I'll put them with their appropriate. Now, this is relatively thin paper, so be easy. This is project 1. This one is project 2. Then these little flowers, I'm going to come back to them. They're a little more fragile. This little circle is project 2. You don't need to undo your stickers, okay? To leave those until later. This is project 1. Our happy place, project 2. We have another scallop circle that is project 2. Recognize this from our belly band for National Scrapbook Day. That is project 2. This circle is project 2. We have another small little floral scallop, project 2. And now we're down to our leaves and flowers. Project 1. Project 3. Project 3. Project 3. Project 1. And then I'm down to my beautiful kind of watercolor floral images here. And I'm going to be kind of gentle. The center is also perforated, but I'm going to try not to punch it out at this point. This is project 3. This large one. You know, these could always, these negative images, you know, they could always be used as a mask if you wanted to add some ink blending the shape of that flower. You could do that with using this as a mask. This is project 3. And then this small one. Is project 3. Okay, that's all of our die cuts. And I'm just going to keep this in case I might want to do some ink blending later, and then I'll have the negative images to go with it. All right, so let's go ahead in our piles. Let's add the bases, like, you know, what's the, like project 1 is going to have a light, pretty peacock base on the left and on the right. So I need 2 of my pretty peacock pieces. On the light side is going to be my base for my project 1. Here are all my die cut pieces. And this is project 1. So when we do this as a class at my house, which we're going to start pretty soon, this would all be in your project 1. You'd put all of that in your project 1 folder. And then for project 2, our base is going to be light pretty peacock on the left and light pretty peacock on the right. So here's for pretty peacock. And here are my pretty peacock pieces that we've cut. That's project 2. Project 3 is going to use this pattern paper as its base. So we'll pull all of it out, and that is all of project 3. So now we didn't pull out, so our stickers are all still right here. Our photo mounts are still right here, and our chipboard pieces are all here as well. So we'll use those as we come to them during assembly. What do we have scrap that's left over? I want that to go in the back. Sorry, struggling with that. We have about half a sheet of Lost Lagoon, about a 4-inch piece of Pretty Peacock. Is that maybe an 8-inch strip of the exclusive paper? Maybe a 4-inch or so strip. So these are all good sized pieces that you could go on and create pages with or cards with. And then we have some more that are just, strips. Do not discount the strips. I hope that at the event I have lots of pages to show you made up from the coordinating paper as well as the scraps left over. Scraps that would be left over from making the projects as we're showing them, or scraps pages that would be left, pages or cards that could be made from what's left over when you make your pages strictly from the kit instructions. All right, so I'm actually going to slide my scraps back into my bag along with, actually, okay, I said that quite wrong. And I'm going to slide in the backing, okay, the back, which gives me my name and ordering number. And I'm going to tell you the ordering number is 166628. Why am I telling you that? Because this is on the last chance list. So if you are attending the National Scrapbook event on May the 3rd, you will receive this kit. If you want to make more using the die cuts and stickers, you may want to get a second kit, and I can have that for you at the event if you like, or you can use that ordering number and order one for yourself. Just let me know. And if you're long distance and not able to attend the live event, then you might want one, might want to order one as well. Okay, so that is where we're going to leave off in this video. We'll be back. Let's see, it is almost 11 here. So in an hour, I'll be back and we'll put the first 2 pages together at that time. So that way you can, if you're doing these kit and you want me to do it along with you, then you'll be able to have these videos playing and, stop, pause, go back and forth, rather than go through one big long video, which would be no fun for either one of us. Okay, so I'll see you back in just over an hour. Thank you so much for watching. And please, if you have any questions, please ask. Right? And if you have any comments, you can share those too. I like both. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.